This next speaker, who you'll find on page 42, has been rated as one of the top 5 speakers in the entire world. Top 5. You got him here today. The one, the only, Dr. Willie Jolly. Give him a hand. Come on. A real hand.
Thank you very much. Well, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. It's forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I didn't seek it. I didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but an eternity is in it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all can do better than that. Good afternoon. Now, I know you've been here a long time today. You've had great speakers. Give all the speakers a round of applause. And I also know that your spirit is willing, but your flesh is weak. You've had lunch. You've had a full day. So we're going to do a quick energizer. We're going to talk about achieving greatness with an attitude of excellence. And what we're going to do is a quick energizer to get your energy levels back up to where they were at first thing this morning after your first cup of coffee. I want everybody to sit up straight, please. And I want you to repeat after me with confidence, enthusiasm, and excitement. Everybody repeat after me. Say, I feel good. I feel real good. I'm wide awake. Ready to shake. Shake and bake. Ready to learn. Ready to burn. Because I feel good. Real good. Fantastic. I feel great. Now turn to somebody on your left and on your right and say, you got the right stuff, Give yourselves a round of applause. Everybody make some noise. All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank the Red Propeller folks for inviting me. The Lauterbachs, who are the founders of Red Propeller, 25 years ago were the first Speakers Bureau to ever book me. They took a chance on me when no one knew who I was. So when they called me and asked me if there's any way that I'd be willing to come and speak for a showcase, I don't do showcases much anymore. I said, I'd be honored to do it because I've never forgotten the bridge that brought me across. So I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for James Barkham, who was one of the first agents to book me. So I'm grateful to be here. So I'm grateful for what I do, but I must confess I'm grateful every time I get to do what I do. Had an experience a couple years ago. Gave me a new perspective. Speaking in Japan for the U.S. Marines, hoorah. Speaking for the families of those who were deployed, for the workers on the base. After 2 weeks of speaking all over Japan, it was time to go to Korea, South Korea. And I went to the airport, my bride and I. Oh, let me tell you, when I mention my bride, I always have to take a moment and hold on to something because I get weak in my knees. But we're newlyweds. June 28th, we'll celebrate 33 years of marriage. Now, people always say, well, how you say you're newlywed? Because I still got the 5 for her. That's how. I tell people publicly and privately I would crawl over broken glass to get to that woman. I told her one day, I said, if you leave me, I'm coming with you. I'm very excited that a few months ago we wrote a book together called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. It's gone on already to be a bestseller. And at the end of this, I'm going to give away a copy to somebody here who might be needing it. So everywhere I go, somebody says, you know, I'm so grateful you mentioned that because we're having some challenges. Also, for everybody, we'll have a postcard where you can get a free chapter from the book because we want to save 1 million marriages and enhance 1 million more. So anyway, we were in Japan. We're leaving Japan to go to Korea. We get to the airport. There's a lady at the front door, and she said, can I see your ticket? She said, we've been waiting for you. I said, maybe it's because I'm the speaker. She handed it to another lady who said, we're going to check in your luggage. We've been waiting for you. Her third lady who said, we're going to give you a seating assignment. We've been waiting for you. Handed it to a fourth lady who said, I'm going to take you to the VIP room. I told my bride, I said, baby, we in high cotton now. Let's act like we used to it. In order to get to the VIP room, we had to go down the front hallway where we first came in. And as we walked by the front door, the lady who had greeted us when we first came in, I overheard her say to some other folks, we've been waiting for you. They said that to everybody. We got to the VIP room. It was everybody. It was the waiting room. First class, business class, coach class, everybody in there together. They gave us a few refreshments and then took us to the shuttle that would take us to our aircraft, all us together. And before that shuttle pulled off, they ran, those 4 ladies, and bowed, said, thank you for letting us serve you. I learned a valuable lesson that day to change my life. Whether I speak for 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, or 5,000 people. And I suggest whether you do something small or big, we should always see it as service. Because service is the rent we pay for our space on this earth. So I begin this few minutes I have with you to say I'm grateful for the opportunity to come and serve you today. I didn't come to work. I didn't come to even speak. I came to serve you because service is our rent. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do what I do. I speak to major corporations literally around the world now about transformation via two types of thoughts: attitude and excellence. That's what I do, attitude and excellence. And most people around the world know me for speaking, whether it's Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, Verizon, Prudential, Australia. I speak all over the world about those two things, attitude and excellence. But most people know me for my work with a little company called Ford Motor Company. In 2006, Ford was on the brink of bankruptcy. They brought in a new CEO named Alan Mulally. He said, we got to change the culture of this company or we're out of business. I'm very grateful that I got a call from Ford Motor Company. They said, we want you to work with us, to help us to change the culture. I worked with Ford in 2006, 2007, 2008. As you might remember, in 2009, Ford was only one of the big three automakers to be able to reject a government bailout. They went from losing $1 million a month to making $1 billion a month. Now, I ask you a question. Did the economy go up between 2006 and 2009? No, it went down. What changed? Thinking. When you change your thinking, you will change your future. And that's what I want to help people to do, and that's what I'm striving to help people do. Change their thinking so they can change their future. It's about attitude and excellence. So you must understand that excellence can be attained if you care more than others think is wise. You risk more than others think is safe. You dream more than others think is practical, and you expect more than others think is possible. Attitude and excellence. That's what I want to talk about. It's about service. Keys to excellence. Simple keys. 5 simple areas of development that I've learned from Ford and others. They are simple areas. Leadership. Leaders at every level. Developing leaders in your organization at every level of your organization, from top to bottom. Great organizations develop leaders wherever they may be. This is a picture of someone who had an impact on me. For the last few years, I've had the opportunity to be on a tour called the Get Motivated Tour. Dave Martin was on that tour. He didn't mention that. He's one of the great speakers in America. He was on that tour. Dave Martin was on it. But for 20 years, that tour was composed of General Colin Powell and Zig Ziglar. And when Zig passed away, I'm honored that they called me and said, we want you to replace Zig Ziglar. And so I was grateful for that. But in that process, I got to develop a friendship with General Powell. And he taught me some things about leadership. General Powell said, success is an attitude. You must believe that it can be done. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. You must stay positive, even in negative times. Make a decision to get better and invest in yourself and invest in your future. See, I call it the better campaign. Good, better, best. Never let it rest till good is better and better is best. And then repeat the cycle again. You got to keep getting better. I constantly say to myself, Willie, if you want better children, you got to be a better parent. You want a better marriage, you got to be a better partner. You want a better organization, you got to have better people. And if you want a better life, you got to be a better you. We got to get better. We got to make a commitment to get better. How many would agree that in order for our organization to be better tomorrow than today, we must be better? How many want a better organization? Then that means we all got to get better because we are the organization. And it starts with a 1% solution. Getting 1% better today than you were yesterday. And making a commitment to be 1% better tomorrow than you are today. What's the impact of small changes? Kentucky Derby, the horse that wins by a nose is just a little better than the competition, but wins a purse 10 times greater than its competition. You got to be a little better, and you constantly got to get better. And so it's first leadership, then change management, where you see that change is not the enemy, it's an ally. All progress is the result of change. We're going to have change in our life. Sometimes we create it, and sometimes it comes upon us. But change, how many of you are in an industry where there's lots of change? Everybody knows you. If you're in working, if you're living, you're in changing. So we got to see change from another perspective. We got to understand the 3 C's for success in change. Change, challenge, and choices. And so we've got to get an understanding that change is inevitable. Our response is optional. Because change is going to come. Change is like a supersonic freight train coming down the path towards you. Now, you got 3 options as it comes your way. Option number 1 is to get on that train and you say, I'm going to resist it, and stand in front of that train. Not a good choice. It'll run you over. Option number 2, stand back and look at it go by. Isn't that a pretty train? No, it'll pass you by. I recommend option number 3, get on board and ride it. And if you're wise, you'll drive it. Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE, said only those who drive change maximize the potential of their lives and possibilities. We got to drive change, and it's going to be difficult. So first is leadership, then change, then team building. Got to create great teams. Because I found something about folks about successful organizations. They understand the power of growing great teams and great people. Because see, great people give great service. Good people give good service. Mediocre people give mediocre service. And negative people will kill your organization. Am I right about it? So you got to think like a team. You got to work like a team so you can win like a team. It's going to take team building. Coach Lombardi, one of the greatest coaches of all time. He said great teams do three things. They care for each other, they cover for each other, and they encourage each other. If you're going to have a great organization, you got to care for each other. Then you got to cover each other. And then you got to encourage each other. If you do that, things start to happen. Customer service is the next piece. You got to have great customer service. Not good customer service, but wow customer service. Not good, not real good, but you got to wow the customer. You got to wow the customer. This is a story. This is my post office near my home. And these are the ladies who work in my post office. Now, let me tell you a quick story. This, my wife saw it. She came home and told me. The taller lady was at the desk. An Hispanic man came up who couldn't speak the language of English language well. And he needed something desperately. So what she did, came from around her desk, took him by the hand, went next door to the car wash, where one of her friends there was Hispanic. And she had him translate what this man needed so she could serve him. That's customer service. And that's how we have to serve our customers. We got to serve our customers with an expectation that it's going to be good. Then we've got to be leadership, change, team building, customer service, and then a winner's attitude. A winner's attitude is you don't know how you're going to win. Like Dr. Dave said about Sully, I did a program with Sully. He didn't know how, but he was prepared to do that which was necessary to do it. This is my story. Everybody say you're going to have defining moments. Defining moments, folks. Say it. You're going to have defining moments in your life. My defining moment was I was a nightclub singer, singing in nightclubs. One night I went to a nightclub. The club owner said, we've made a change. We love your band, but we found something cheaper that's filling up nightclubs. We bought a karaoke machine. I said, what about my bills? I learned that night nobody cares about your bills but you and the people you owe. I took a job with the Washington, D.C. public school system as a drug prevention coordinator, talking to little kids about staying away from drugs. From the little kids, I got invited to speak to the bigger kids. And from them, I got invited to speak to the teachers. And from the teachers, I got invited to speak on a program, on a tour with Les Brown, the great motivator, called the Music and Motivated Dream Team Tour, which featured Les Brown, Billy Preston, Gladys Knight, and a little guy from Washington, D.C., me. Because of Les and Gladys, they introduced me to some radio people. I got a little radio show. And it got kind of popular and got syndicated. And it eventually got to a little place called Sirius XM, where I'm proud to say I now have the #1 self-help show in America on Sirius XM radio. And because of my radio show on Sirius, thank you. One day a book publisher heard me on the radio, called my office, and said, have you ever thought about writing a book? I said, no, I've never thought about it. He said, let me make you an offer. I said, I just thought about it. My first book, It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life, came out, became a national bestseller. Then A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback, became a global bestseller. And then Attitude of Excellence, turned setbacks into comebacks, chicken soup for the Christian soul. And things started happening. And one day I'm speaking in Dallas, Texas. My phone's going crazy. Urgent. What's so urgent? Toastmasters International needs to talk to you. That's the big speaking organization. What do they want? They say it's urgent. I call Toastmasters. Hi, this is Willie Jolly. Mr. Jolly, we've been awaiting your call. Just want to let you know you've just been named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world for this year. I said, what? Former winners include Colin Powell, Norman Schwarzkopf, Nelson Mandela, Margaret Thatcher, Christopher Reeve. I said, what? You sure you got the right person? My name is Willie Jolly. Willie. They said the one from Washington, D.C., yeah. Wrote the book, A Setback, Setup for a Comeback, yeah. You're the one. But those are big dogs. I'm a little dog. She said something I'll never forget. Said, little dog, keep yapping loud enough and strong enough. Big dog start to hear about you. Moral of the story, just think if I'd never gotten fired and replaced by a karaoke machine. Everybody repeat after me, say, change is good when your attitude is great. This is a picture where you got to think up, think positive thoughts. This is a picture of me and a guy named Dr. Stephen Covey, and we were in Australia doing the biggest real estate conference in the world. And he said something to me backstage that changed my life. I said, what's the most powerful of those 7 habits? He said, they're all powerful. I said, what's the most powerful? He said, the one win-win. Help other people to win. So when a Lauderbox called me and said, we want you to come speak at our event, I said, my pleasure, because you help enough other people get what they want. You get everything you want. So folks, I close with my favorite story. I was a new speaker. I had no books, no tapes, no radio, no television, no credentials to be a speaker. Struggling to keep the lights on, struggling to keep the phones on, struggling. People I'd call and they hang up in my face. We don't know who you are. I get discouraged, make no more calls that day. One day I'm making my calls. And the first guy I talked to that day says, I love the way you're talking, your energy. I'd love for you to come speak for our event. I'll pay you. I'll fly you to Orlando. I went to Orlando. I gave the speech. They gave me a standing ovation. And at the end, they gave me my check. I was ecstatic. I finished meeting and greeting people. I went on home went to the airport to go home. Got on my flight feeling good. Got in my seat feeling good. Plane takes off. I pull out that check to get that thrill one more time. But when I looked at the check the second time, I got depressed because I realized that money was already allocated. It was gone. Anybody ever get your check before you get home and know it's gone? I started having a pity party with myself right there in B-22. An older gentleman across the aisle must have sensed I was struggling. He struck up a conversation with me. He told me he was a minister. He lectured every day in a different city about health and wealth. I said, you fly every day? He said, yes. I said, you speak every day? He said, yes. Then he asked me a question that changed the trajectory of my future. He said, young man, how old do you think I am? I looked him up and down. I said, sir, I think you're about 60. He took off his glasses, looked me in my eye and said, young man, I'm 88 years old. I'm 88 and my best is yet to come. In that moment, everything shifted in my mind. If an 88-year-old man could have the optimism to believe that his best days were in front of him and not behind him, what did I have to whine and cry about? I went home with a new attitude. And I got on that phone and started making sales calls. And if they say no, I'd say next. They say, I'm not interested in what you gave. I say, you're not the right one. Well, 25 years have gone by. I've been inducted in the Speaker Hall of Fame. I've been named one of the top 5 speakers in the world. I've been a legend of the speaking industry. I got best-selling books, television, and radio, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. And I came here today to say to you, without a question in my mind, your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. This is your day. This is your moment. This is your moment to do what you're doing. Music, please. Sound up, please. This is your time to do what you do. And I want you to do this with a spirit of excellence. I want you to do it with all that you have within you and make this the day that you're going to change some lives because you make the final call. This is your moment. You have only just a minute. Only 60 seconds in it. It's forced upon you. You can't refuse it. You didn't seek it. You didn't choose it. But it's up to you to use it. You must suffer if you lose it. Give account if you abuse it. Just a tiny little minute. But your eternities are all wrapped up in it. It's been a privilege and a pleasure. A treat and a treasure. A joy to beyond measure to be in your presence. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.